September 21st, 1938, 3 p.m. The northeast coast of the United States is caught in the jaws of a monstrous hurricane with 100-mile-an-hour winds. It is the worst in this region in more than a century. At 60 miles an hour, the hurricane is moving so fast that its eye, usually a respite from the storm, hardly provides a break. Waves as high as 50 feet strike the coast with such force that they register on seismographs in Alaska. And still, forecasts do not mention the word hurricane. Even if they had, the storm knocked out communications as soon as it sped ashore.
So as the forecasters were trying to keep up with the storm was actually coming on shore on Long Island, and just as the forecast was being changed, people were being drowned in downtown Providence, Rhode Island.
Around 3:30 p.m., a 20-foot storm surge, as high as a 2-story building, smashes into the coastline.
Witnesses talk about this massive black water. It's almost like a huge wall in front of them that all of a sudden dominates their landscape and then crashes upon them with a thunder. The earth shakes, like the gates of hell are falling apart.
In West Hampton Beach, Long Island, 11 neighbors have sought shelter in Tot Green's wood frame home. But it is no protection against the storm surge.
The water started to roll over the dunes, and my recollection is it was just wave after wave after wave coming in, and you could see them getting higher and higher.
The whole ocean floor was sucked out to the horizons. So it was just as if there was a skim of water all the way out to the horizon. And then suddenly this huge, unbroken wall of water started coming, just rolling towards us.
Follow me, come on.
As the storm surge hits, the ground floor fills with water. Tot orders everyone upstairs. She only has a single life jacket. She must make a gut-wrenching decision.
You've got your own children there, you want to protect them, but I think that you always feel a certain duty to protect the children that you've been entrusted with.
Tot gives the life vest to the Bradley kids and suggests that Otis, the younger sibling, wear it.
Ladies first.
I said no. I said, it's ladies first. I didn't deny him the lifesaver because I didn't like him. It was because I felt ladies first was just a credo that I'd been brought up with.
Now the storm surge inundates the second floor.
The water just kept coming and coming and coming, and we went up another flight to the attic. The next flight would have been to heaven.
40 miles away in Fenwick, Connecticut, relentless waves pound Katharine Hepburn's summer home. Under the fierce attack, windows shatter and the walls begin to crumble.
Windows were imploding. Doors were swinging and falling off hinges. Katharine Hepburn had the fear of God running through her.
Dick! Dick!
One wing of the house literally came off and just disappeared. And at this point, those who were left in the house decided it's time to get out.
The house is coming apart. We need to get out of here now.
Hepburn, her mother, brother, a house guest, and the cook are all trapped. Katharine's brother Dick throws a rope out the dining room window. He and the 4 others climb down into the churning, knee-deep water. "70 miles east in Jamestown, Rhode Island, bus driver Norman Caswell reaches a narrow, one-lane causeway. But the road, which usually separates 2 coves, is now overrun by water. Caswell is a quarter-mile away from his next stop, the home of Joe Matos. He is the father of 4 of the children on the bus. Matos is on the far side of the causeway, where his car has stalled in the floodwaters. He wants to make sure Norman Caswell doesn't make the same mistake.
Joe Matos was at the corner of his property, and he tried to flag down Norman Caswell to let him know of the impending danger. He tried to flag him, but it was very foggy at that point. The surf was up, the wind was up.
Through the blinding rain, Caswell creeps across the washed-out road. Halfway across the causeway, his bus stalls.
You need to go sit down right now.
He and the children are now surrounded by the swirling water. Fearing they will be swept away, Caswell decides the children will be safer if they leave the bus and head for the Matos house on foot. He believes it is the only way to protect the children.
He got out of the bus. At that point, the wind was knocking him over, and he made it to the back of the bus. And he opened the door.
Hold hands! Hold hands! I want everyone to hold hands. You come out first.
Joe Matos watches from atop high ground at the end of his property.
It's okay.
As one by one, the children jump out of the bus.
Stand up.
Come on, you go!
Come on down.
Then, through the salty spray, Matos spots a towering wall of water barreling toward the causeway.
Daddy!
And his children.
Joe! Daddy! Joe!
40 miles away in Watch Hill, Rhode Island, seawater has now engulfed the first floor of the Moore family's 3-story home.
Over here.
From the second story, the family watches the storm surge wash away the home next door.
Okay, all right? Everything's going all right.
Moments later, a teenage neighbor bursts into the room.
Where's your family?
They said, "Where is your family?" He said, "They're gone." And then it all hit them that what gone meant was really gone.
We'll be over
The
there.
emotional shock of seeing loved ones before their very eyes washed out to sea and drowned, they hadn't even begun to deal with. They couldn't take time for it.
Without warning, the second floor begins to fall like a trap door. The house is collapsing beneath them. The rising water drives all 11 people to the attic.
Oh my God.
2 of the Moore girls begin to recite the Catholic act of contrition. Their sister Kathy clutches her rosary.
It's okay, sweetie. It's okay. Okay?
We firmly believed in heaven. And I guess we thought we were very good children because we were quite sure that we were going to heaven if we died.
Okay? I promise. We're all together. Please.
12-year-old Jeffrey Moore readies himself to drown.
Oh, we're gonna make it. We're gonna make it.
I was deciding whether I would do it quickly, like that, or whether I'd fight it. And I decided I'd do it quickly.
His father, Jeff, says goodbye to his wife of 13 years.
It was basically the, this is the end and I love you moment. But Catherine would not go there. She would not take that step. She was not quite willing to give it all up.
You need to be strong. You need to be with us, all of us.
Suddenly, water rises to the floor and a fierce blast of wind rips a section of the attic away from the house.
The house breaks apart before their very eyes. It's almost biblical. The floor becomes a raft.
Everything underneath us, all the underpinnings, broke up, and it seemed like all of a sudden, there we were, sailing on the house.
All that remains is a section of floor with 2 iron pipes sticking up and a piece of roof. Jeff Moore grabs one of the pipes, and the rest of the group hangs onto it. Massive waves push the attic floor into Little Narragansett Bay. The family has no idea where they are headed or if they will survive.
It ended the reign of the
100-mile-an-hour winds. It is the worst in this region in more than a century. At 60 miles an hour, the hurricane is moving so fast that its eye, usually a respite from the storm, hardly provides a break. Even if they had, the storm knocked out communications as soon as it sped ashore.
So as the forecasters were trying to keep up with the storm was actually coming on shore on Long Island, and just as the forecast was being changed, people were being drowned in downtown Providence, Rhode Island.
Around 3:30 p.m., a 20-foot storm surge, as high as a 2-story building, smashed. September 21st, 1938, 3 p.m. The northeast coast of the United States is caught in the jaws of a monstrous hurricane, with waves as high as 50 feet strike the coast with such force that they register on seismographs in Alaska. And still, forecasts do not mention the word hurricane.